Hi, I'm an eBay seller and I prepare my own taxes, and I'd like to talk a little bit about taxes that it might be helpful to you if you wanted to try preparing your own taxes, or if you just wanted to be more familiar with taxes from the standpoint of an eBay seller. And I'm not a tax professional, so I'm just showing you what I do, and maybe it'll be helpful in some way. Well, on this video, all I want to do is just to discuss the forms that you'll be using. Your basic form will be the 1040 that you do your taxes with. Some people use computer programs or whatever. I use the actual forms. I do fill them out on the computer. They're in PDF format, and I save them, and then I print them out and I mail them to the IRS. But on the 1040, if you are an employee or have been an employee, it's on line 7 that you normally put down your wages, your salaries, and so forth. But as an eBay seller, you would be putting down your income on line 12, which is listed as business income or loss. And it also says attach a Schedule C. And that's what you'll be using to figure out what your profit is from your eBay business. You'll be using a Schedule C. And you might want to just pause and look up a Schedule C on the internet and print it out and just be looking at it as we talk about it. It's 2 pages, and it has 5 parts. Part 1 is where you will put all of your income, and it's also where you will put your expenses that are related to the sale. And what I mean by that is there are expenses that are related to the sale, and then there's just general overhead business expenses that are just related to keeping your business going. So the expenses related to the sale would be the cost of the item, it would be shipping, it would be the PayPal fees, the eBay fees, and that's basically it, I think. That's all I can think of right now. And then in part 2 is where you put your expenses related to just general overhead business. And that's not related to a particular sale, but just being in business. And those expenses would be like your internet service provider, your cell phone, your computer, driving, expenses, and that type of thing. And then part 3 of the Schedule C, it's called Cost of Goods Sold, and that's where you figure up your sales related to, your expenses related to your sales, which you will take from part 3 and you will put in part 1. And then part 4 is information on your vehicle. It's just like, you keep track of your mileage, and you can deduct that from your incoming sales. You can deduct that as a business expense. Part 5 are other expenses. Now, you might wonder, where are you going to get all this information, like your total sales for all of last year, your total PayPal fees, your total eBay fees, and all of that. And in another video, perhaps I can show you how to export that information from PayPal and then import it into a spreadsheet. And then you can arrange the information and get your sums, of all of your PayPal expenses and your eBay fees, and come up with those yearly totals, all the money that's come in, all the expenses, and so forth. And that's all in part 1 of your Schedule C. The incoming and the directly related expenses. Then part 2, those expenses are things that is probably you just need to keep receipts, and hopefully you've done that, or you can get that information. How much you paid for your cell phone if you use that in business, how much you paid for your internet service provider if you use that, your computer, and so forth. So I think that's it for right now. And this is not like an exhaustive, all the details type of how to do your taxes. It's just a little bit of information that might help you along if this is new to you. And I think getting your information from PayPal, exporting it, might be something that's really helpful if you don't use a service like GoDaddy, bookkeeping, or something like that. I think some people use that, and that service, you pay a monthly subscription, and they give you, they get that information for you. So if you don't pay that, and I don't, you can get the information you need straight from PayPal. It's not the easiest thing just to do until you, it's not the easiest thing to figure out yourself, or it wasn't for me. But you can get that information, and you can put it into a spreadsheet and get the data you need for your Schedule C. So I hope that's a little bit helpful. I'm sure if this is new to you, I'm sure you have more questions than ever at this point. So just stick with it. One thing that's probably good is to, if you do taxes yourself, to do them early, so that you're not like rushing right there at the end, and hire a tax professional to look them over before you actually submit them, just to make sure that everything looks right. And I did that a few years ago, and it wasn't very expensive at all. And she was able to look them over and say, hey, it all looks good. So I would recommend that if this is all new to you. All right. Well, I hope that you have a good day, and until next time.